Good evening. One in, one out. Oh well, still counts as a view. Good evening. Hey, IJ. What do you mean, not I? Oh, title. Ask Lola if she wants one. I mean, it'd be a little while for they're ready to leave their mama because they're only 1 day old right now. But in answer to your question earlier, yes, I want to see if I can get rid of them as soon as possible this time. What do you mean, there I am? I was here before you. But, I don't want to go getting attached to more of them and end up keeping them. And I don't want to have to keep feeding them. Plus, the more I have, the more I worry about them, as far as getting my neighbor's yard here beside me with their dogs or going across the road. Hey, Peter. Or going across the road and having problems with them over there bitching about them being in the yard. It's okay for their dogs to run, but they don't want, cats to come in their yard. So I just try to eliminate as much problems as I can that way. Yeah. I used to have a cat years ago that she thought she could go out and hunt buzzards. Oh, it's just that every time I start these, I've always got a couple people that come into the live stream. They're here, 2-3 seconds, and they leave. And it happens every live stream. And I usually have about 5 people that do that. They'll come in before anybody else gets here. They'll want to be in, they go out. And pretty soon one will come in, they go out. I don't know who they are because, like I say, they never say anything. Yeah, it was hard to see the kitten today with the way she was laying. But when I first uncovered her, I was trying to pet her and stuff, and she was acting a little bit nervous. Where when she had the others under the house, now I was going on, and they were older then, and it didn't seem to bother her too much. And then I started picking them up and playing with them, and once in a while bring one out so I could clean his eyes because she was having problems with someone getting their eyes all matted up and stuff. But today she acted real jittery about it, so I didn't, touch the babies. Well, it's always possible, Peter, but like I say, every live stream I do, I usually average 5 people that'll come in, but they're only here 2 seconds or so, and then they leave. But I noticed I got two in this bunch of today. I got two that are really dark. I don't have any other kitties of any of mine that are dark colored other than Fluffy, who's black and white. All the rest of them I've got are either orange, tan, or tan and white, or orange and white. But this one's got two of them in there that were kind of a black gray color. I saw one that was orange and white, one that was tan, and I'm not sure what the fifth one was now. Well, he will be one of the neighborhood strays, or however you want to refer to him as, because of the coloring in him. Hey, Filipina, how are you this evening? And before she was pregnant, she was one of them that didn't stay in the yard much. She didn't want to be around the rest of here in the yard. It's just this last week or two that she's been spending a lot of time here, and especially a lot of time around me. Every time I'd go outside, she'd come running to me, crying and stuff, and just follow me around, let me pet her, and she kept coming over, wanting to come in the house. A couple times I opened the door, and before I could stop her, she was in the house. I don't remember. I think it's maybe getting toward 8 weeks before you really take them away from the mother, but which in 8 weeks' time, they've got some size to them. But with what I've got right now, I've got, plus what I'm feeding, of the neighborhood cats that keep coming in and stealing food on me. I'm going through about $60 a month just in food and stuff. I could be putting that money to other use if I didn't have to spend it all on them. Well, I never give my pets people food anyways. I know a lot of people do that same thing with their dogs. They give them table scraps and all that stuff like that. I don't do that because a lot of the stuff that we eat's not good for them. It's not even good for us. Hey, Monroe. Hey, Lucy. She going back on night shift this week. Peter said Samira's got a premiere. I know Sammy's live right now too. Which I usually try to go to hers too, but I said here recently, well, I've said it before and I just didn't do it. I can't schedule mine around everybody else's, or I never get a chance to do anything. So I've just finally said the hell with it. When it's time that I want to do a live, I go do it regardless of who's on. Some nights I don't get very many come in because of that, but and then there's a couple people that whenever they see that if you're doing a live, they'll come for a second and say hi, and then they'll go do a live. Thanks, Monroe. Well, she's been on day shift, but then usually she gets the long weekend when they shift to the other shift. And I thought it was Monday, which would be today for her, that she goes back on nights. To me, that's a pain in the ass, type situation where you work 2 weeks days and 2 weeks nights. That really messes you up on your sleep pattern when you keep changing that way all the time. I should stay on it, for 3 or 4 months or whatever, and then switch to the other one for 3 or 4 months, because then you're only messing yourself up for a couple of days to get back on the other schedule again. With that changing every 2 weeks, that's just hard on your body. You don't sleep good then. When I used to work in law enforcement, I worked night shift a lot. And what I started doing, because if you work nights 5 days a week, then your 2 days off, you tried to stay up daytime and sleep at night like normal people. Well, that messed you all up, and then you went back to work and you was tired to go back on nights again. So I just started working 7 days a week. That way I was always working, the same time and sleeping the same time all week long. I'd get off work 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'd come home and do stuff like it was my normal evening. Do stuff in town, do stuff around the yard, the house, whatever. And then 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I go to bed and get up at 9. Watch a little TV, get something to eat, get ready for work, go back to work, and be there at midnight. Yeah. And that's really all jet lag is just the change in the time. Your body doesn't keep up with what you're trying to do. But, most people don't understand that. It's like truck drivers. They run a lot of hours and then turn around and try to sleep, days or whatever, because of what, their shift is running where they're hauling. And it messes you all up if you can't keep on something steady. Part of the two with jet lag, I mean, yes, it's a difference in the time zones wherever if you're traveling far. But part of it too, I think, I may be wrong, but I think it's because of the difference in the pressurization in the cabin and stuff like that, and the airflow and whatever, I think also dehydrates you, which in turn, when you get dehydrated, you get tired. Oh, I know. And that's just the other thing too. Like with people that drink, you go out Friday night or whatever, your night is, you go and sit there and drink all night. Alcohol dehydrates you, and the result is the next day is what they call a hangover. Well, all the hangover is dehydration. If you would drink other fluids during the night or after you're done drinking the alcohol and whatnot to replenish what the alcohol is taken out of you, you wouldn't have that hangover the next day. The weather's been nice here today, all day. Um, I think it was like maybe 76 or something like that, the high today. It's 64 right now. That was why I didn't get out there uh, to take the board up there where Jill's at earlier, because it was right in the sun and it was just hot to work on it there, because I had to take the screws out of it to pull it loose. So I waited till the sun had gone down some, so it wasn't quite so hot there. Yeah, coffee, caffeine is also dehydrates you. The sugar and stuff in soda will do the same thing. There's a lot of things that you might say people like that are not good for our body and causes other problems in the process. But we just kind of live with it, accept it, and don't realize what it's doing, and we blame it on something else. And another one that will dehydrate you, and people in the Philippines especially have the problem with it there because they eat so much of it, is rice. I mean, when you make rice, fixed rice, you put it in water which it absorbs. But even then, once you eat it, it still absorbs more water out of your system. That was when I was in the Philippines. That was one, some of the things I noticed, like watching TV there. To me, two of the most noticed commercials that were all the time. One of them was for constipation, and the other one was for hair care. Always stuff, for the girls for their long hair. But I think it just, to me, seemed like those were your two most noticed commercials all the time on TV. You saw the most of them. Hey, Ken. Well, yeah, maybe. I didn't notice them as much. I guess. I don't know. I noticed the others because, like I said, there were so many of the same type commercials, so it's kind of stood out to me. And here in the U.S., they've done away basically with all of the alcohol and tobacco commercials. I mean, it used to be everything was based on that. Even the NASCAR, the the race at the 4th of July used to be the Winston 400. Now it's the Firecracker 400. They went away from the brand name of Winston cigarettes. On TV, you always used to have the Marlboro Man, and then the ones there for Camel cigarettes. But in the process of trying to supposedly get people to stop smoking and to keep, the tobacco and alcohol away from kids so much, they've pulled all them commercials away from the TV, and even your magazines and stuff don't have them like they used to. And IJ, now you corrected that, but it goes to show you there, which is normal with most everybody. When you read something, you read what is supposed to be there instead of what is actually there. I didn't even notice you misspelled it. You can take and type words and stuff into a paragraph or something and leave half the letters out of the words and misspell them and whatever. And most people can sit there and read the whole paragraph and never even notice that there's all those mistakes in it. They're just used to seeing the certain parts of a word, and they automatically, take that word in. Ken, what are the girls doing this morning? I didn't get any notification of them going out anywhere. Now, I'll probably mispronounce this, but hello, Myris World. How are you this morning? I'm assuming you're on the Asian side of the world. Getting ready to cook. Tell her to make peanut butter and jelly. Well, I appreciate you stopping by. You're welcome to hang out longer and just give us a thumbs up. Yeah, it just seems that those two girls spend too much time cooking. Oh, you're in Canada. Okay. Well, you're on my side of the world then. In fact, everybody here's on this side of the world. Ken's in Ohio, IJ's in Chicago, Monroe's in North Carolina. Oh, there's Maureen. We did get one from across the globe. All right, you're in the Eastern time zone, same as I am. Hey, Halfwit. There's somebody else on the other side of the world. He's in Australia. I'm in Florida. I'm not too far from Daytona Beach. Maureen, Ken says you're cooking. Why don't you just fix peanut butter and jelly? Won't take so long. You won't have all the dirty pots and pans. One plate, one knife, and it's ready. Yeah, I left him there because that's where she had him at. The kittens are just 1 day old this evening. She had him last night, a little before dark, I think. But I'll leave them there till she brings them out, unless I have a problem. If we get too much really bad weather, that may fill up with water, and I'll have to watch to see if she moves them out of there or if I have to go get them for her. But I've had other cats in the past have had their kittens there, and they stayed there with them until they were bringing them big enough to start bringing them out to the food dish and whatnot like that. They're kind of protected under there from the other neighborhood cats and whatever. When Jill had her first litter of kittens there, she had them underneath the house, in fact, under this room right here where I'm sitting at. They were in there between the central air ducts. Yeah, I've only got cats now. I used to have dogs years ago, but they, got up in age and passed away, and I only had one cat left there toward the end. He rode with me in the truck when I was on the road. And when I had to have him put to sleep, I said I wasn't going to get any more because they tie me down. It was costing me money when I was on the road driving, because whenever I stopped, to load and unload cars, I still had to leave the truck sit there running with the air, with the AC on to keep the truck cool enough for the cat being inside. Or if I was stopped in the truck stop, for the night or the weekend or whatever, again, had to leave the truck running a lot or whatever to keep it cooled down for them. So, it was costing me money. And I can't, take off and go do what I like to go back to the Philippines, and I can't travel with the cats. Now, this new bunch here that I just got there, the 5 little ones, Maureen said she wants all of those. Ken told her go ahead. So that'll take care of those. She didn't comment, so she must be ignoring me. Well, in a sense they are, but I don't have anybody to come take care of them. It's my problem. Well, I had said that before, IJ, that I was going to do that, but then, like you said, I went and got attached to them, and then it's just harder to give them away like that. Well, tell her she wants to be careful. Them cats may eat her lizard. They spend a lot of time hunting for lizards here. The ones I have aren't quite as big as that one she's got, but I'm sure they would still go after it. My cat that used to ride in the truck with me, Shadow, he used to go out all the time and catch big snakes and bring them back. I've seen him come back, dragging snakes, that were 5 foot long. He'd have it in his mouth in the middle of the snake, and both head and tail of it dragging back beside him, and it would end up dragging and going underneath his feet, and he'd step on it and stumble and fall, and he'd get up and start running again, still carrying the snake, and the snake was still alive. My older female that I used to have, she was the run of the litter, and her name was Runt. She used to go out and catch coral snakes and bring them back alive, and they're poisonous. Well, and see, you saying you would do that, and that's my other thing is, I hate to ask people to do something like that. And I know, different times in the past, I've had people turn around and ask me to take care of theirs, and I've went and done it, but I've just always hated asking somebody else to take care of stuff for me like that. Just like the neighbor across the road there, which in time ended up causing problems. But, that girl he lives with, she's always a problem anyways. But I took care of their dogs for a long time just because she wouldn't even do it when she was there. And nobody else that lives there would take care of it. Well, I know, IJ, that's what I'm saying. And that's nice. I mean, I appreciate that idea, but I said, I just hate asking people, to do stuff like that for me. It's just like when I had my medical stuff I had to take care of before and had to have a ride to the hospital, like for same day surgery or do a doctor's appointment or whatever. I always hated asking somebody to drive me to town even. And Sissy's next door here is the one that always took me. And I had her drive my car, so it wasn't costing her anything other than, her time. I mean, again, like one of the girls across the road there, she doesn't have a car, doesn't have a driver's license. And every once in a while, she would need a ride, to or from work. And her mom would call and ask if I could give her a ride. Well, being a good neighbor, I'd go over and give her a ride. But get her there, and she'd just get out and go in, wouldn't even say thanks. Just kind of like, they expected it. And one of my other big problems with mine, pets like that, mine are so used to only being around me that anybody else comes around, they run and hide. When I used to have my others at the other house where I lived at before, and like my trips to the Philippines, mom went over and took care of my cats and my dogs for me. And she said when she'd go in the house to feed the cats, she wouldn't even, my one male there, Shadow, she wouldn't even see him. He'd be in the back room somewhere hiding. So she knew he ate because the food was always gone when she came back. But it wasn't until later on in the time that I was gone that got where he would start coming out to her when she'd come in. And before I got back, he was seen coming out and crawling up, and she'd sit there in the living room chair, and he'd come out and crawl up in the chair and sit in her lap. Well, that is true, and I mean, even when I do stuff, working around the house and stuff, I built a pole barn for a lady here several years back, and it was a 40 by 60 pole barn for horses. And when I went to put the rafters up on the poles, they were about 15 feet long. Instead of getting somebody to help, one on one end of it, me on the other, I would climb up a ladder with one end of that rafter and bungee cords, wrap it around the pole to hold it, go down and get on the other ladder and climb up there and put that end in place and bungee cord it, then go back and adjust them what I needed so I can nail them in. I wouldn't go ask for help. When I put the roofing on my other house over there, steel roofing, I used to carry the roof panels because I had them delivered, and where they put them in the yard, I had to take them and go clear around the other side of the house, lift them up to the edge of the eave and slide them up on the roof, then go up on top of the roof and pull them up onto the roof, to fasten them. And I was doing that by myself. And the roof panels were about 20 feet long. Sheets of roofing, steel. But again, I wasn't asking anybody for help. I was doing it myself, and I don't like to bother people. Yeah, there's a lot of people like that. And the strange part of it is, I've always been one to go and help anybody that needed it, even if they didn't ask. I've been at Lowe's before, see somebody out there trying to load something big in their car or their truck, and I'll walk over and help them do it. Yeah, I've got quite a few friends in the Philippines. I mean, they're all they're all online friends. I've got some others that I've been over there before and met, but I've lost relationship with them, you might say. But I have a lot of online friends, so I could have a lot of people over there I could go and see, would like to go see. But it's the same thing too with even the OFWs. I mean, technically they're from the Philippines, but I've got people that are OFWs that I'm friends with. I don't know, IJ. I've said that different times, and I still talk about it once in a while that I get fed up with stuff here. Yeah, a lot of them are YouTube friends, but even before that, back when Yahoo Messenger used to be available, I had a lot of friends that I talked with there that I met in the Yahoo chat rooms before I ever started on YouTube. But with what you were saying there, IJ, that yeah, I've talked different times, and there are things going on around here and stuff. I just get fed up with the people, my neighbors, and stuff in the country, whatever, and said, yeah, I've considered the idea of just get rid of everything here and move over there permanent. I mean, I have to keep U.S. citizenship Even if I go over there, in order to maintain my Social Security and stuff like that. The big drawback on going to the Philippines is the medical over there compared to here. Hey, Samira, is your premiere over with? I didn't even know you was doing a premiere until Peter told me. You go back to work tonight, Samira? But yeah, if I didn't have the cats, then just going and staying for longer vacations would be more plausible because I wouldn't have a reason to have to rush back with, go out, lock the door, lock the gate, just tell my neighbor if you see anybody over here, shoot them. You're on the road going back home. Where were you? Oh, you was at your sister's? Yeah, and that's the big thing. I mean, I see that with my neighbors across the road and to the south of me. I hear it all the time with them. Well, I bought the beer. Yeah, but I took you to get it. It's just kind of like it's who did what last. That so they're one ahead of the other one, and I just don't like to be that way. And that's why, like with my medical stuff there before, where I had to have somebody to drive me because same day surgery, you can't drive afterwards because the stuff they put you out with, even though you're awake when you go home, they say you're still legally drunk for approximately 24 hours. Well, I was fortunate enough to be able to get Sissy to run me, and like I said, I had her use my car, so it wasn't costing her anything to do it. And I offered to pay her for it, but she wouldn't take anything. And she's been a good neighbor. When I went for my 2 eye surgeries for my cataracts, one of them, I got another friend to do it, use my car, and then afterwards, we took and he needed new batteries. He buys wrecked cars, fixes them up, and resells them. He needed batteries for several cars, so we just took the old batteries to trade in, put them in my car, and took them with us. Went did my surgery, and then went to the place where he's going to get the batteries. We swapped them out, and then came home with the new batteries and stuff. So he got to take me for what I needed, and got to do his shopping that he needed. I got another neighbor to take me for the second one, and he wouldn't even use my vehicle. He wanted to use his. But there aren't too many people that I feel comfortable to drive my vehicle anyways. That's like the girls across the road here. I would walk before I'd let one of them drive my vehicle. I watch how they tear theirs up. Is Mike back on the road tonight, or is he still home? I can't keep track of where he's at most time. But I haven't heard from him as much lately as I normally do. Why do you think I'll get more subscribers if I do it in the Philippines? Or do you think I'll get more US vloggers, Canadian vloggers, stuff like that, to see what I'm doing over there? Maybe that could be. Right now, my percentages on US and Philippine viewers, there's only about a 10% difference in the numbers, with the US viewers being higher. But I have a lot of Philippine viewers. Tonight, I made a quick, easy meal. I had hot dogs. I warmed up some au gratin potatoes, and I warmed up some green beans. So I made a very simple, easy meal to fix. Well, IJ, I was kind of that way when I was there before, I felt, and I wasn't doing YouTube back then. But I could go out where I was staying at and walk down the road, and every neighbor on the street would come out and want to talk with me, invite me in their house and whatever. I know some of the Tagalog words, but not where I can't pronounce them, correctly and stuff like that. If I see some of them in writing, I know what they are, but beyond that, no. And yeah, I've spent time in the Philippines before. I've been over there twice. Yeah, I could just sit over there and tell them, says, yeah, guys, come on over here. Just bring a lot of money with you. These girls are glad to see you. And you all need to go up to and visit the bar girls. They didn't while I was there, no, because I was already with a girl. Over time, on uh, Yahoo Messenger or on YouTube or anything like that. Yeah, I get girls doing that all the time. I said, "Oh, gratin." Only Rena thinks I eat rotten for stuff like that because I don't go by the best by dates on foods and stuff when I open them. If they look good, I eat them. I don't care what date is on them. And most of the stuff I have is older dates and stuff because I get things in bulk. Hell, as a kid at home, Dad used to get the Army C rations all the time. When the troops were there for their summer of training and stuff at Fort Drum, and stuff that was left over, instead of them throwing it away, the guys would bring it home. And we ate that stuff a lot at home when I was a kid. And hell, a lot of that stuff had been packaged up, back in the 50s. There was a YouTube video I watched the other day, and I should have sent it to you guys. And it was about canned goods and stuff. And part of this stuff is coming up now because there's so many people that are thinking that with everything that's going on with the world right now, that you need to be stockpiling all your food and stuff because there's not going to be any, next week. And that was one of the things that was brought up about the best by dates and whatever, and things that was a can of food has already been cooked before it was canned. The can itself is sealed. As long as that can is not damaged, letting air into it, or it's not in a place where it can rust, stuff in that can will last for years. The best by date that's on any food is not the date that the stuff is bad and you can't eat it. That's the date that they're saying you should use it by to get the best flavor, or with medicine, the best potential impact out of the medicine or whatever. But it's still good after that. You get a bottle of aspirin, they have a use by date on them. Well, I don't use a lot of aspirin. Then I buy them in a big bottle so they last a long time. The bottle of aspirin I'm using in there right now, everything I get, I write on the top of it or somewhere with a magic marker the date I got it, just month and year. I mean, like right now, I'm putting 3-22 on stuff. But those aspirin I'm using are from 2011. I've got some stuff in the kitchen there that when you bake and whatnot, they always say to lightly flour the dish or whatever, for a cake or whatever. I've got some stuff that's a flour substitute. I like it better than the flour. And it's dated 2004. I'm still using it. Said he got a dream that his wife will be coming from the Philippines, so he's heading there very soon. His wife's coming here, so he's going over there. That's like another OFW I've talked to in the past. She's working as an OFW because she don't want to be in the Philippines with her husband. Yeah, there's a lot of people, are looking at the idea of what to who. You make a comment like that, we don't know who you're referring to. But there's a lot of people that are looking at the idea of getting a partner from the Philippines or Thailand or wherever. Some of it's that, theory of grass is greener on the other side of the fence. Well, maybe in some cases it is, but not always. No. Yeah. Well, if you read her stuff and stop and think about it, I'm assuming she met he's dreaming that he's going to meet a Filipina and make her his wife. So he's going over now to check the country out. But if you just read it fast, it makes it sound like he's already married. His wife is coming here, so he's going over there. Like, they don't want to be together. And just made it funny that way. And as far as doing live streams, like me doing this one, the ones that I would rather see are the people, like, say, in the Philippines, that they're doing it where they're out walking around town or riding their scooter or whatever they're doing, or going to the beach, or they're out on their farm or whatever. I like seeing that stuff better myself than somebody that's doing one like I am, just sitting here talking to you. I like to see the area where they're at when they're talking about it, doing whatever, and so on. It's kind of like you get to travel with them that way. And that was why I always liked being on the road when I was driving truck. I was always someplace different every day. I mean, some of the runs that I made were repetitious of, I would run to Wichita and back, next week I'd go to Wichita and back again, Kansas. But even making trip after trip, you still see something along the way that you didn't see the last time. I'm presently retired. I was running my own business of transporting automobiles. I got away from it there a few years ago when cost and everything started jumping real high, and every time you turn around, they're making new rules and new laws and stuff about what you can do and what you can't do and how you have to do something. So it just makes it harder and harder to keep up with everything. And some of it takes the fun out of it. I mean, one of the stupid ones they passed here several years back was the requirement that when you're on duty for 8 hours, you had to stop and take a 30-minute break. So there was 30 minutes in your day that you had to stop and do nothing and waste time. It was supposed to be to give you a break so you can rest. Well, to me, sitting there doing nothing was not resting. I was sitting there for 30 minutes watching the clock tick so I can get back on the road and drive again. Which, yeah, sometimes it happened to work out where I would stop, I'd go ahead and fix me a sandwich and have my lunch. So I got something done that way in that 30 minutes, but it didn't always work out that way. They finally recently just changed that. They reworded it now. So instead of being 8 hours on duty, because you have to have your pre-trip in, you stop for fuel or anything like that, that was still counting your 8 hours. Now it's just 8 hours of driving. So when you do your pre-trip in the morning, that don't count. You stop down the road later to get fuel, that don't count. So you can drive for 8 hours, consistent or broken up, and then stop and take that 30-minute break. But now they're letting you take that 30-minute break as just being not driving. It doesn't have to be off duty. So you can stop and get fuel during that 30-minute break. IG, that's what Mike Roberts does with his. He uses that the voice to text, which you see with his a lot of times. He gets the wrong words, wrong spelling, whatever in it. There's several people that are using that anymore. And I think a lot of it too, it depends on how your system is set up, where it's from, and then if you have an accent that pronounces the word a little bit differently, well, then the voice to text spells it differently. You retracted your other message before I got a chance to read it. Might have been something important. Well, yeah. And that's just for somebody that's lazy. I don't look as the Filipina as being submissive. I look at her being more caring and stuff than that. Well, that's the theory behind it. But like I said, to me, that 30 minutes of just sitting there doing nothing, waiting for the clock to tick by, was more tiresome than driving. At least when I was driving, I was thinking about other stuff, what was going on the road and the scenery I was seeing and whatever. And with trucking, you can drive 11 hours a day and be on duty up to 14 hours a day. Well, that 11 comes out of that 14. Well, that 30-minute break came out of your 14 hours on duty. So actually, you only had 13 and a half hours that you could be on duty for the day because you lost that 30-minute break that you could do nothing before. Like I say, now they've changed it where you can use it to be on duty, just not driving. So you can be loading your truck, you can be fueling up, you can be doing whatever during that 30 minutes, and you're not losing the time per se, other than you just can't be driving. If it doesn't fit your schedule for when you need to do something else, then yeah, you lose time, but you can try to shuffle a little bit, and get fuel in or do whatever. But just insurance is a big factor. My last renewal before I come off the road was over 15,000 a year for my truck insurance. You're required to carry $750,000 liability insurance. I carried 1 million. Most people carry 1 million. A lot of your brokers and dealers and stuff won't work with you unless you're carrying 1 million. Well, now the federal government's trying to get it raised to a $2 million liability. And a lot of that is because too many people are sue happy. The truck stops take advantage of the drivers. Anything you buy in a truck stop, from fuel to food, anything, costs way more than if you could buy it at 7-Eleven or Walmart or whatever. Just because they know that you got a big truck, you can't get into all them other places. So they charge you more for it. I used to cheat whenever I could, and I would go to places like the racetrack or 7-Eleven, some of those that have the big stations. Sometimes it's tight getting in, but there are some of them that are big enough that you can pull a big truck and trailer in and get fuel there. And I would do that and save a lot on just fuel cost. I never bought anything to eat in a truck stop. I would stop at Walmart at night, spend the night in the Walmart parking lot, go in the store and get whatever I needed to put in the truck. Yeah, and part of that too, you're saying with the back. I tell a lot of drivers and stuff about it, and even people driving their own personal cars. They want to tip that seat back, and like they're Joe Cool riding there with their seat laid back and whatnot. So that's what bothers your back. When you're going down the road and you've got that continuous bouncing, put your back straight up and down. I tip my seat up where it's perfectly straight up and down on the back. So that way when your back is going up and down, it's going this way instead of it bouncing like this. Keep everything aligned. I mean, they got the seats tipped back and a lot of them like they're getting ready to take a nap while they're driving. And if you want to see one that does that, I mean, hers a little different situation because she's short. Her channel name is Pine Trucker Girl USA. She's a Filipina, and she drives truck with her and her husband. They drive team, but she's got pillows behind her back, so she's up enough so she can reach the steering wheel and reach the pedals and whatnot. And that's what she drives with because she's just 5 foot tall. But her name is John Lynn. Her husband's name is Patrick. She's a Filipina. He's an American. And they just put their 7th truck on the road for their own company now. They were driving team for another company out of Ohio. Now they're running their own business. But that's the case, of you don't have to be a big person to go out here and drive truck. There's getting to be a lot of women drivers. Yeah, and with what you said there, IJ, I was talking with another girl here recently. We were discussing that same topic. And what I told her is I'm not looking for somebody to come here and take care of me, do stuff for me, whatever. I'm looking for somebody to be with me as a partner, and we do stuff together. I'm not looking for a caretaker or a housemaid. Yeah, she's got, let me look, I just had it. She's got 110,000 subscribers. There's her channel. She originally started her channel when she first started driving truck with her husband. And her reasoning for doing it was so she could post videos so her dad in the Philippines could see what she was doing. And once she started doing that, the people in the Philippines all went on her channel. her channel grew like crazy right from the start. And it was all people in the Philippines to see what she was doing in America. Well, right now, if you go into her live streams and stuff, biggest share of the people that are in the chat in her live streams are Americans. I mean, there's a bunch of them from the Philippines and other countries all over the world, but a lot of them are Americans, and they're other truck drivers too. But her and her husband Patrick drive team. Patrick's son Corey and his wife Rona, who's also a Filipina, drive team. Then Patrick's son Brandon drives. Patrick's daughter Becca drives for him. That's 5 trucks. And I'm not sure who else they've got driving that they've hired, others. But they're all hauling flatbed. But when John and Lynn first started driving with Patrick, they were driving for R&L out of Ohio at that time. They used to run from Ohio to Connecticut every week. And they pulled double trailers back then. That works out good that way because, I mean, you can put your videos and stuff in there, then they can look at them, whatever. Because if you make a video that's very big, you can't email it to them. I've tried that in the past, to try to just make a little short video, but then, your email servers don't want to handle something very big to let you send it. Whereas if you post it on here, then they can see it and others can see it also, whatever. If you got something you don't want everybody to see, then you just make it, unlisted or whatever, and then give whoever, your family the link to it, where they're the only ones that can watch it. I gave you an idea. I hope it was a good one, not a bad one. Yeah, I do too, IJ. And that's the same thing I used to do with the Yahoo Messenger. But see, Yahoo changed theirs a long time back, and then they did away with the Messenger. But you used to be able to go on Yahoo and go to the Yahoo chat rooms, and you could pull it up, and they'd have a list there. You could get chat rooms for the Philippines, for the UK or Australia or wherever, and then they'd have a group, a selection of different ones there, sometimes listed by topic or what have you, and you could go in there and just talk with the people in there that are from those countries usually. I met a lot of people that way, and you know, made a lot of friends. But in time, Yahoo changed the way they did them. You used to be able to sit there and make your own uh, chat room, and then all your friends and stuff that you've been meeting in the other ones could all come to your chat, just like we do here on this, on YouTube, and you could all sit there and talk for the evening. Well, they stopped you being able to do that, and they changed the way the others were set up, and a lot of people lost interest in it. And then with the Yahoo Messenger here a couple of years ago, Yahoo finally even shut it down completely. I still use the Yahoo email, but the Messenger that I really enjoyed, I've lost it and lost a lot of my contacts with it because I didn't write anything down. Just like with my stuff here, I don't write down passwords and stuff. I just remember what they are and use them. I got in trouble here with YouTube a while back because I forgot my password and couldn't get back in. It took me a while to get back to it. But with the stuff with Yahoo Messenger, all the stuff people told me, when they give me a phone number, their address, or whatever, I put it in the information part of the Messenger where I could just pull it up in the computer and I had it, so if I needed it. Well, when Yahoo Messenger was shut down, I lost all that information. Well, you're going to have that on any of these, IJ. And it's not just men, it's women too. I mean, they do it on YouTube and they're doing it on Instagram or whatever the others are that people use. I don't use any of those, so I don't know much about them. But yeah, they did it on Yahoo or Messenger. They used to have MSN Messenger. There used to be AOL Messenger, which was, or AIM Messenger, which was AOL's. But you're going to have that no matter where you go. I hadn't heard the reasoning behind Yahoo shutting theirs down. I didn't know it was Google that caused it. But that's just like, a lot of people use Gmail for their email. And my Gmail account, all it's for is you have to have it to have YouTube. Otherwise, I never even would have had one. I presently have Yahoo email accounts and I have Hotmail email accounts. I got the Gmail, like I said, just because of YouTube. When I had AIM, almost seems like I had email accounts that were associated with it too. Which AIM kind of disappeared and I lost those accounts, so it doesn't matter. I mean, I wasn't using them to speak of. Now, what are you referring to became a business, IJ? Well, the thing that gets me, even like with Yahoo and stuff, is, and other places do it too. They want you to upgrade your password every so often. Social Security does that here. They want you every year to change your password. Well, if you keep changing it, then you can't remember if you don't have it wrote down. And if you got it wrote down for somebody else to find, what's the purpose of having a password? I had done that here with, because I don't write mine down. I've started now writing some of them down because I can't remember. I'm going to have to keep changing them. But I had forgot my password for this account here. And I played with it and played with it and played with it and played with it, trying to get back in. And I could not remember the password. I sat here and kept trying the ones I thought and whatnot, and none of them worked. So I made a new Gmail account, a new YouTube account, and started doing that away, and just figured I was going to lose everything I had in this one. I started going back through my old Yahoo email accounts from when I set this up. I don't delete stuff most generally, so I've still got a lot of the old stuff from it. I started my YouTube account back in 2012. I went back to 2012 Yahoo email that I had and found the information that I used for setting this up with the information of what my password was. So I was able to get my password to get back in here. Yeah, there's a lot of them that do that, IJ. There's also a lot of different websites and stuff that's all they're set up for. You can get an account with them just like you do on YouTube, and then you scroll through and see all the different guys and girls or couples or whatever it happens to be, and pick the one you want. And then, like you say, you can, depending on how the things are set up. Some of them, you make the arrangements with them and send them the money Western Union, or some of them you have to buy credits on that platform, and then give them the credits, which that person then gets the money from it. However, for them to do their shows. I don't remember if I did or not, but the security question they kept asking me, I didn't know the answer to. So they were trying to give me somebody else's security question. So that didn't work either. And I couldn't get into my Gmail to look anything up because my Gmail and YouTube, I use the same password for both. And I couldn't remember what it was. Well, as far as age, I can go back one further than that on that. When I grew up, we didn't have computers. We didn't have cell phones. I never even got a cell phone until my dad was in bad health. And I ended up getting one then just so that if something happened, my mom could get a hold of me when I was out working wherever. And then that's the only reason I had one. And now I've still got it. Yeah, but IJ, a lot of times the questions they give you, for a security question, for you to pick them through the ones that they got. If anybody knows you or knows anything about you, they know a lot of that stuff anyways. Like, what's your mother's maiden name? What school would you go to? Well, most of the people you talk with already know that stuff. Yeah, I remember there years back, one guy I worked with was the first one that I saw with a cell phone in his truck. And it had the big suitcase like thing that sat on the floor, and you had the twisted cable thing that come out to the handpiece that you held up just like your house phone, to talk into and hear in. But that was his cell phone in his truck. And see, I never got my first cell phone until, let's see, 13, 8, 5, 2005 maybe. I'd had a pager previously at one job. Um, I was a supervisor, and they just had the pagers where different ones could call me, that and leave a phone number where I need to get in touch with them at or something. And I'd have to find a landline somewhere and call them. But the pager was, company owned and paid for. Yeah. Well, that's why I say the first one there that my friend had in his truck, the power unit for it was almost like a little small suitcase. It sat on the front passenger floorboard. And when I was younger and a kid and whatever, back then the only ones that had pagers was the drug dealers. And then the only cell phones I've had is like what I've got right now. I'm still using a flip phone. First one I had when Dad got sick there, he had kidney cancer. So when he started having, his problems, spent time in the hospital and back and forth and whatnot, it was also a flip phone. My mom and my sister went and bought several of them and had a family plan that mom had one, my sister had one, I had one, my nephew had one, whatever, all just for if something happened with my dad. Now, when I went on the road, I went and bought mine to use for my business, and I'm not on their plan anymore. I'm going to have to this year sometime buy me another phone because it's old enough that it's still 3G, and mine's was Verizon, and they said that they're phasing out the 3 and 4G by December 31st of this year, going to the 5G. So I need to get a phone that will accommodate that. So I'll probably have to break down and end up getting one like you guys have that I don't know how to use. But if I could use it, it would make it easier for me as far as doing videos for this and whatnot. I always have my phone with me. I use a little small camera, and I don't have it with me all the time. When I was on the road, I always had the camera in the truck because I took pictures of every car I hauled. That way, if there was damage and stuff, it showed before I picked it up. And when I got there, I already had a picture of it, of the damage and stuff. But I'd have to learn how to use one like you guys use to be able to do stuff with it. Hey, Warren. Now there's 3 people here talking, but it only shows I have 1 in the chat. And that's half the problem. A lot of times when I'm doing even live streams and stuff, people don't get notifications on them. I have that happen with me a lot of times. People say, "Why didn't you come to my live?" I didn't get the notification until after it was over with. YouTube has just been so overwhelmed with the way it grew during the COVID stuff that it can't keep up with the people using it. Ken said before that Maureen and Rena were cooking. I bet they're doing a live stream while they're cooking and eating. Because Maureen and Ken both disappeared. Yeah, I don't see no notification on one. Maybe they're not. Mike never came in tonight, so he might be on the road. Or sleeping so we can go on the road early. Well, I'm glad you came in. It's good to get to talk to you. I'll have to go check out your channel here and after a bit. See what you've got on it. Now, she comes out, eats out of the same dish as the rest of them do there in the carport where you've seen them eat before. If I start putting stuff like under the ramp or whatever, I'll have problems, with ants getting in it, whatever. I think I mentioned on the video on that tonight there about her. I've had others born under the ramp before, but I've never taken a board up before to check on them. I've just left them be until they came out on their own. But I was just curious tonight, and with other people asking about her having them and stuff, I thought, well, I'll go ahead and do it. Took me a while to get the screws out of it to get the deck board up, but that way I was able to do a video so people could see it. See her and the babies there now, which they're just 1 day old in that video. And I was curious how many she had. From what I could see, without moving them, look like she has 5. Last time she had 7. Well, I didn't screw it back down. It's just setting back in the slot where it belongs. I know it's loose. I'm not going to worry about that. But I wanted the board back in where nothing can bother her, or the little ones. I did take before when I had little ones under there like that. We started getting a lot of rain because all them boards have got a little space like that between them. The rainwater can run down between the boards. I put a sheet of aluminum over that part of the ramp so that the water and stuff from the rain wasn't going down through the cracks. At least try to keep it dry that way. But if you look back at my older videos when I was rebuilding the ramp, that's dug out under there, so that part of the ground is actually lower. If we get too much of a big, bad rainstorm, the rain out on the sidewalk may run off and go underneath that ramp and fill that full of water. So I have to watch and see that, that she either moves them or I'll have to pull that board up and take them out myself. One of the previous litters of kittens that way back, that wood pile that you've seen out here behind the house here, they had them in that, and then later moved them around toward the front of the house by the laundry room door. And there's a set of those cement steps out there. Well, they're hollow underneath, and there's a crack, so big between the house and the steps that the little kittens can get into them. Mama can't get in there, but the kittens could. And she brought them down there, and they went under that. But then we got a bad storm one night, and that was all wet and everything out there. I went out and ended up catching each one of them and towel drying them off. Took them all out and put them in the carport for her. I've got two out of that. She took care of one, but there was another one that was a sister that also came in. I call them the White Sisters. The one that came that she nursed, I call White Belly. And then her sister is White Tail. I don't know if I've got any recent videos that show either of them. I'll have to do one so you know who they are. They are 2 out of 4 that my oldest cat that I've got had here a while back. But she had them in the neighboring lots here behind me. And then she would come over here to eat and leave them over there in the other lot. And then it got where they'd come through the fence, they could squeeze through the chain link fence wire. They'd come over in the yard, but they wouldn't get near the rest of them. And I don't know how it happened that finally that one ended up over here and she left it here, whatever. And that's when Jill started nursing it and it stayed. And then later, the second one showed up. I don't know whatever happened to the other two. I never have seen them since. And right now, I haven't seen the mother. Her name was Little One. I haven't seen her in a long time either. So I don't know if something's happened to her now. And then the mother of Jill, she had a brother, Jack, Jack and Jill. And then I've got another female that's a sister to him. It's Sammy, who is tan and orange. But their mother is Little Girl, and I haven't seen her in a while. So I'm just not sure what's happening with some of them. So if not, I may be down, 2 less kittens. But if you go back, IJ, and look at the video, I think the title of it is Jill and her 6+1 or something like that. The white kitten that was there that day that was in the video that I was showing, that's the one that she was nursing that wasn't hers. Well, that one now is as big as Jill is. Or as big as any of the rest of them I got out here, put it that way. They're all pretty much the same size. I've got a couple of them that are a little bit on the small side. There's one of Jill's females that she had. She's an orange cat, and I named her Little Orange. she's smaller than the rest of them. But she's a sister to Big Spot that I did the video on there of me petting her and playing with her. And then there's another sister, Tan Spot. And then the third sister, fourth sister, whichever you want to call it, Little Spot's the one I took to the vet that ended up I gave to the vet for them to do the surgery on because they said the cost would be $1,200 to $1,400. So they would go ahead and do it and then just adopt her out somewhere, so I wouldn't have to pay the expense. Did Warren leave already? He doesn't use much English, so I don't know most of what he's saying. Yeah, that's what he said. He's going in April also. That's when Mike and Ken are both going. He's going somewhere right in near Manila someplace. I don't remember which place he said it was now. Almost seemed like he mentioned two places. One of them's Makati, but the other one, you'd have to tell me how to pronounce it there, IJ. Pasig or whatever, Pasig or something like that. I don't remember just where it is he's going to see a girl that he's been conversing with on here. Who might see each other there? You mean Monroe and Ken and Mike? I doubt they'll do that unless they happen to be at the airport at the same time. But I don't know when Monroe's going, because Mike and Ken are going over to. Okay, Mike and Ken are going over to Baguio where Rena lives at, and that's where Marine's staying at right now with Rena. And then later, Ken and Marine are going down to her parents' place down in Mindanao. Okay. Well, see, I do with a lot of Tagalog names and stuff, Philippine names. I pronounce them the way they're spelled. Hey, Josh, I pronounce them the way they're spelled, the way they look, just like most Filipinos do with English words. They try to pronounce them the way they look. It's not always right. But Mike was saying that maybe him and Rena might go down to Marine's place for a little bit there too. That he wasn't sure yet. Plus, I'm sure that Rena will want to take Mike over where her family's at in La Union. Josh would have been here earlier, but he was out shoveling snow. No, I never even got notification you were live. Oh yeah, it says you went live an hour ago, probably more than an hour, but that's the way YouTube's got it broke down. I didn't see it. Yeah, I'd have to look at the map to see the name of the place, but she's up in the pretty much almost right up the north border, I think, of Mindanao. I don't remember the name of the town now. Like I said, I'd have to go back and look at the map to see what it is. That other girl there, oh, it's Onion? Okay. Um, Ruby, her channel right now, I think is Rubylicious or whatever. She's changed it several times before. It used to be Ruby Gonzalez. Her and Frank are down in Mindanao also. And then the Rileys, they're in Mindanao. Bill and Mercy. And then Sammy's near Dumaguete. Vicky from Exotic Filipina or Exotic, I think that's what she's using now. She's changed hers so many times that I can't keep up with them. She's from south of there, but she goes up to Cebu a lot. Exotic Filipina is her channel name now. She's changed her channel names a few times over the years. Hey, Rena. Yeah, Ken's back. Yeah, that's what I say, Josh. There's a lot of stuff like that I'll mispronounce the Philippine words, just like the Filipinos mispronounce English words. Well, hey, girls, I haven't seen you in quite a long time. I've seen it a couple times where I've got notification you put videos up, but I just haven't got a chance to go look at them even. Haven't talked with you in a long time. Rena, did you see that Jill had her babies last night? All right, I just posted the video this afternoon, so it would have been early this morning for you. But she had them just last night for me. So the little one's only a day old. She had 5. And I need to get this keyboard replaced someday. Using two keyboards to type with is a pain in the butt. Yeah. It's a short one. It's only a minute and a half long. I had to take the board out of the ramp there so I could get where I could see him to do that with and check on them and see what she had and all like that. And I didn't want to bother her too long, so I just did a short one and covered her back up. I'll go out later and I take a flashlight and I look down between the cracks between the boards and see underneath to see, that's everything still looks okay there. When I do that, then I can hear her purring then. Rena, where's Mike at tonight? I haven't seen him tonight. Is he on the road or is he at home already gone to bed? Usually he's one of the first ones that comes in. That's all I'm seeing now too. But like I said a while ago, there was three of you sitting there talking and it only showed one. She had five, Josh, that I could see. I didn't reach in and move any of them around to check for sure, but what I could see wiggling around, I could see five. Okay. I kind of wondered if that's what he was doing because, like I said, usually he's one of the first ones in, and if he has to get up in the middle of the night to take off, he'd be going to bed earlier. Is he at home now or is he on the road already? Okay. I didn't know if he was home for the weekend and then leaving out for the Monday morning to start up south. He goes to the Philippines for a month. He won't know what to do, not getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys' videos when you guys get over there. Yeah, probably so. But I don't think they get up that early, do they? When other than she does to call him or something. I can't see you getting up that early if you don't have nothing to do, and then turn around, take a nap in the middle of the day because you're tired. Okay, I know there's been a lot of times that Mike would say, he just got her to bed, and he says she'll be back up at 6 and stuff. Yeah, that's too early. I mean, if you had stuff to do is one thing, but just getting up that early, I can't see. Yeah, well, that's what Mike's always saying about Rena, that she has to have her nap time. When I was over there, the place I stayed at, part of her family was up early in the morning, but the girl I was there to see, she just didn't want to get out of bed in the morning. And Warren's back. Now, when she calls at 7:30, is that when you're already at work? Or is that she calling to get you up? She's your alarm clock. So the day they have a brownout and her phone goes dead, she can't call you. You'll be late for work. What happened to who now? Yeah. Well, I was talking with JB yesterday. They were having a brownout and they couldn't get their generator to run. I was trying to explain to her so she could tell her son what to do to try to troubleshoot it to see what, little things it might be. But he doesn't know enough about mechanics to do much. And then says he's afraid to touch anything. He might make it worse. So they never did get. They got it to fire and run for 10 seconds or whatever, and then it quit again. And then he quit trying. And a lot of that stuff, when I try to ask them questions, they don't understand what I mean, so it makes it hard to do anyways. Yeah, Monroe's back. I figured they would be, Ken. I've been over 2 hours. I may end this one for too long anyways. Okay, Monroe, we'll talk with you later. I need to go up. Take my flashlight out and peek through the cracks so I can check on Jill again. And what do you mean I read slow? What are you talking about? Plus, I need to go shut the door here pretty soon. I still got the door open. It's dropped down to 59 outside. Hi, Jay. What are you referring to saying I read slow? Before I had 3 talking, said I only had 1 viewing. Now I got nobody talking, but says I got 2. right. Like I said, I think I'm going to go ahead and end this anyways. I've been over 2 hours here, and people are drifting off. It's 10:30 here. And I will talk with everybody the next time or on yours, wherever. So everybody take care.